Hello, good evening and welcome to Centrespot UK TV podcast. It's our Virgin flight tonight and we are joined by our guest tonight, Steve Bell, who will tell you a little bit about himself and why he's here, and as ever the gorgeous Mike, who will be dealing the cards like the delightful dolly that he is.
Thanks very much, Simon. Yeah, so as Simon said, we have the founder of Talking Football next to us, Steve Bell, who, as you may have seen, we are one of the sponsors for the new Talking Football kit. Very proud to do so. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me down.
So, do you want to tell us a bit about Talking Football?
Yeah, well, just a quick background on it. I approached a local venue in Blackrod at the local community centre to see if they would help me facilitate a venue really for people, men to turn up and just have a kickabout, and it just kind of grew. We started on the first week on the 4th of April in 22 with 3 aside, and fast forward to today and we've got 100 men signed up on an app that register if they want to come down and play. We play charity matches, we play against like-minded teams, and we play twice a week down at Bolton Arena on a Monday and a Wednesday.
Was there anyone familiar in that 6 that you know, Steve? Was there anyone here that might have been there? Or
on the second week when we progressed to 8, yes.
Were we?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Simon and his son came down, Robert, and then a few weeks later Mike came down and joined us as well.
I did. Yeah, it's a great setup. I mean, the beauty of it is, and obviously we've talked about it a lot over the last nearly 2 years, and I think that the beauty of it is simple, and the new tagline you've got of tackling mental health one kick at a time is perfect, because it gives people blokes a space to get away from the daily life and find people who've got the same issues, same struggles in life, and just play football, where usually probably wouldn't have a platform to play football. They wouldn't.
Well, this is it. Ultimately, the football is the platform and the vehicle that's helping people through their journey, but it's also that social inclusion that some might not get, where after we've played, we go across to the local harvester, we have a pint, and some have something to eat, and we have a chat, and we watch a bit of football. So it keeps that going, and even some of the connections that people have made, that there's been some great friendships formed from it, ours included as well.
Absolutely.
Well, I was just I hope you don't mind me just saying that, Steve. I remember when you were setting it up and what it's got to. You just said there, 100 fellas on it, and I remember you were setting it up. You've been coaching Grassroots right the way through, from kids at 9 or whatever. Wanted something a little bit different. Didn't want to lose touch with football. And I remember kicking the idea around with you very early days. Yeah. Did you really think that it had grown that much in what is essentially 18 months?
Yeah.
What was to back onto that question? Obviously, answer Sam's first, but what was your
end goal? To me there, mate.
I might be. You don't seem too bothered about it.
Well, you know.
What was, obviously, and Simon's, did you think it would grow? But what was kind of your goal? What was the dream really of it all?
Wow. I mean, no is the answer to both of them. I didn't think. Obviously, I knew it. I knew it would grow.
There's definitely virtue in it.
Yeah, absolutely. But did I think it would grow this quick and this much? No, not at all. And listen, it's not been easy. We have had bumps in the road, myself included. It was set up as well to help my own mental health issues, and it certainly has done that. It's come with its own challenges, but to get 100 men on an app, and not everyone's active and not everyone comes down, but it's there when they a
space to use when you need to.
Absolutely.
Because even from my point of view, Steve, I've had a kick in the early point, I've dropped in, I've dropped out, life's demands, things that you do yourself, etc. I like the fact it's always welcoming. To come back, you see some of the fellas, you see new faces, and you think, who's this?
Yeah.
But as soon as you get on, because what Steve likes to do is he'll set up a couple of 3 teams, and it's on a rotation, so you're not just, there's organisation to it. You don't just turn up and it's sort of like an hour and a free-for-all, otherwise it'd look like kids in the street football in the 50s. You get about 6 or 7 guys rotating off, so not only do you get that chance to bond while you're playing as players, which is what we'd all want to do, you've got about 10 minutes after, so if you see that fella that you don't know, and you know, I'm Simon, down here fresh tonight, everybody's there for a reason, aren't they? And I think what was interesting when you set it up, because obviously we're all in the same locality, apart from the fact that Steve sounds like it comes 250 miles to do it every night. We're all in the same location, and at that time it was post coming out of COVID, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
There was some challenges locally. We'll just kind of like leave it at that. And I'm sure every town or smaller village or whatever had the same problem coming out of COVID. It was just at the right time, I think. Wasn't
it was. And what it's done as well is from a personal point of view, it's ignited my passion for football again.
Yeah.
Because I massively fell out of love with football. I fell out of love with myself, but I fell out of love with football.
As we were talking,
and it's reignited that passion and love for football again. And like I said, I've met some fantastic people, again yourselves included, and many others.
You don't have to say that just because we're here, you know. We're not that fantastic. You don't.
No, you are. You are, and you know the support that it's got. Even the businesses that have got involved with us,
local
businesses that have got on to sponsor us and back us, and that turn up and back us for our charity fundraising and things like that. Yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. I'm one of these that doesn't take credit for things very well, but at the same time I do look at it and I am incredibly proud of what
you can have it for that, Steve.
Absolutely,
I'll let you be comfy in that, because as I say, it was you had the idea. We just sort of like sat there having a chat late at night and whatever, and it seemed an ideal thing to me, and I said, just have a crack at it. What have you got to lose? And you've done that, and I think what is really good for us, the high point, and especially for myself at a tender age of 25 that I am, that opportunity when we played against, who did we play against at Gig Lane at Bury?
Love football.
Who are also a Bury-based mental health team.
Yes, they're another mental health team that have been running for quite a period, that similar to us, they had sessions on. But yeah, and we got to play at Gig Lane, didn't we?
I mean, to be honest, I remember having a kick around at, listen, I only got there through a business sponsorship, and I think there was about 30 odd, and I played up at what's now known as a Tough Sheet. It was a Reebok at the time. And I remember, you'll remember it, Mike, because we went back to your brother's after it, and we had a bit of a party after it. 11 aside, professional ground, phenomenal. A couple of days later, I thought, I've just played my last 11 aside.
Yeah.
And I will be honest, that really brought me down for a good few weeks. It really was, because you played football for him as soon as you could kick a ball.
Yeah.
To get that chance to play Gig Lane with talking football. Use the changing rooms, 50 odd. All right, we didn't play the full game. You wouldn't have got that out of me. Well, there wasn't enough St John's ambulance there. But to get that 15, 20 minutes on there and think, I've kicked a ball at this age. It's doing that, and I'm not the youngest, is there? I'm sure there's a fella there. Won't mind me naming him, Dave Elliott. All the best to you. Dave's like coming up to his bit more twilight than me, really.
Yes. And the beauty of it as well with this is, again, having quit playing 11-a-side at an early age when my kids were born, it was something I never thought I'd get to do again. And I also get to do it alongside my own son.
Yes.
And the same as you with your son. And so it isn't... when we first started it was very all about the football. It was 100% about that. And then I think as it's evolved, we've had to evolve with it.
Had to grow up a bit.
Yeah, but sometimes we've had to evolve quicker than we needed to, because we've had to try and catch up with it. But the fact that we've got 17 and 18-year-old lads getting involved with their parents. I mean, there's yourself and Robert, there's me and Jacob, there's Andy Sedwell and Josh. There's now Craig Lawrenson and his lad.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, that's it's incredible.
Yeah,
that.
it is. Yeah.
I think the other thing as well is it's been a couple of times, hasn't there, Steve? Because obviously I'm still involved in coaching, and so are yourself.
Yes.
So now that you've set this up, you found your love of football again.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased to say that you and I are working together again, and that made it easier for us to put a couple of games together where our under 18s, well, under 17s at the time, have had a kick as well. And I think personally that's promoted them towards playing beyond under 18s, you know, as soon as they start going up, because they've played with, because there is a mixed ability in there, isn't there?
Yeah, 100%. In talking football. Yeah, oh, definitely. There's everything, you know, and the beauty of it as well is like some of the lads that have come into it, and I'm not going to mention any names, but there was a guy that really needed some help at the weekend, and he reached out, and the lads were there. And I think perhaps we don't appreciate enough what it's doing for people. I think from the outside looking in, it's just lads getting together from football,
which there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. But then when things like the weekend have come along, you really value and go, wow, it's more than that.
You've created a central focus, which is basically keeping someone. Yeah, I guess keeping someone together. There's some lads there that have just kind of like maybe had a bit of an out of time in the playing, and there's no distinction or difference in that for you, is there? But it's an amazingly powerful thing. But at the same time as you're doing it, I know that you've sponsored Manchester Mind.
Yeah.
You've done doing Bolton Hospice coming up.
Yeah, for charity. We play an annual charity match. This will be our third one. So we've done Manchester Mind. We raised money that year to give money back into a little project in the community. Last year we done Mentel, which are based in Stockport, men's mental health group, and brain tumour research. Because one of our lads has gone through that, and again that's introduced him. That's got him back out, and
Well, you know, I was just going to go on to that because I dropped down on Monday night. I haven't played for a while, just as I say, life commitments, whatever. Dropped down on Monday night because obviously Centre Spot sponsored the shirt, and it was the unveiling. You may have seen it on various social media. I don't know if you've YouTubed that yet, have we, Mike? But maybe.
No, it was just images, though, wasn't it? So.
But what I noticed is dropping in, dropping out. I was watching the football, and at first it was guys who haven't kicked a ball for a long time, and the brain's doing what the feet can't do and stuff like that. The energy and the pace of those games on the Monday, and the skills, and you know, there's guys that have played at a quite high level and those that haven't, and now actually really you can see they're understanding the strategy, they're understanding their touch, and everything that you want to see in a game of football. It's entertaining to watch. It's not like it's not
like you said before about loads of kids in the.
It's not a crazy clodding Sunday league game.
Not like loads of people running after the ball in swarms,
like a Benny Hill chase.
Yeah, it's a very well thought out. We've all got our positions. You know, there's no. One thing I love about it is if there is any kind of negativity around criticism or, you know, whether it's personal or football ability, it gets shut down very quickly by yourself or by someone feels comfortable like I did, come across you and say, I heard this. It's inclusive to everyone, you know, regardless of how good or bad you are at football. It's just about getting together and
That's an interesting point you made there, Mike, because it trains, and is training or is it training having a kick around? There's no need for a ref. It's self-governance.
Yeah, absolutely.
The respect is there, which
again, it's worked its way out. That them creases are ironed out, because you put a group of lads together, whether that's a group of 3 or 30, there's going to be a lot of testosterone there, a lot of competition, a lot of competitiveness, and we have had certain issues throughout where we've had to, lads, myself included, listen, I hate losing. I'm a competitive lad.
What you've got competitors on a football pitch, Steve, is that right?
It's been rumoured. Listen, even playing with a torn ACL, I'm still being told by yourselves at times, Steve, stop. calm down, slow down, but you can't. It's in you.
I'm just gonna look at that. I think we've been doing about 10 minutes. That's the first time we've mentioned the knee. That is very well done.
No, but it's in you to be competitive, and so what's been good is we've all sort of put in everybody's had their say about how they want this to go. Technically, I suppose you could say I'm captain of the ship, but I'm only steering it now, and there's people on board that...
It's too big for that.
100%, 100%, and it's grown incredible, and the support that we've had, not just from businesses, but even the people involved in it, it's grown incredibly. They've believed in what I've tried to do, and they've believed in the ethos of why we're trying to do it, and that's why it's...
Could throw in a football line that most managers say that we believe in the project. They bought into the project.
Yeah, it's a very modern concept, isn't it?
The boys have bought into the project.
You're not heading back to a certain Eric Ten Hag, are you? He just keeps mentioning the project. But
I wouldn't dream of it. I think a certain manager closer to home says a lot of that, but I'm all for him. Well, listen, the bottom line is, obviously, we'll put the links up for Talking Football. As we've said, come down. There's people joining all the time. As Simon said, I come down every Monday, and Monday just gone, I was like, I don't know about 3 or 4 of these lads. It does get to that point, but I've had a couple of my mates come down, just ask if you want to come, so we'll put the links on if you're local. Come on.
You may see me play if Northern Rail would actually maybe help me get there on time. If there's anyone watching from Northern Rail, trains aren't. They're not a foreign country, are they?
I've just checked that. That's 16 minutes before he's mentioned the train.
Yeah, you may hear trains again, because even tonight I'm...
not that we've got anything against any public transport.
I may seem very calm tonight, but yes, it took some time to go. So just rounding up on that, Steve's going to stick with us. We've obviously gone into introducing Steve, who, as you can tell, is obviously a pal, and we appreciate what he's doing. I think what's also massively important is there is absolutely no restriction to anyone who wants to go down to Talking Football, age, whatever. It is a total open book. We're just going to take a little break here now, because we are going to come back and talk about the blue card.
And Steve's snazzy fashion sense as well.
That'll come later.
Yeah.
I think we're already promoting that, so we'll have a little word about that after. So just a little quick break now, and
you don't have to wait around, because
we'll go straight
very
into it.
Seamless. Yeah.
Michael, put a graphic on. Catch you in a bit.
And just like that, we're back. So, obviously had a great first quarter. Well, the first half. Can't be called the first half, can it? It was only 17 minutes.
Halves. Football's played in halves.
I know, but we could be Ted Lasso and say, alright, you guys play this in halves. But I suppose it'll be the first quarter. Which leads us on, I suppose, to the next topic. We are going to talk about football every week, about different topics that are coming up in the game. And this week we have a contentious, controversial,
maybe accepted
by very few, I'd have thought. Simon, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about the now infamous blue card. Is it going to come in? Is it not going to come in? Who knows that? It's being bandied around. It's apparently been on grassroots level. Is it going to work at the Premiership level? Let's have a little look as to... I'm going to refer to the iPad like it's so normal on TNT and Sky. So a blue card. Let's have a look at a couple of points and discuss them. Referees will have the power to show blue cards for cynical fouls that stop threatening attacks and dissent towards a match official. In my mind, yellow card.
Yeah.
The card may also be issued to confirm a player should be shown a red card if they receive 2 blue cards, obviously not yellow, in a match, or a combination of yellow and blue. There's a lot of playing around with primary colours there, but fellas, what are we thinking on that?
I'll let you go first, Steve. Obviously you two are in the grassroots game at the coaching level. What's your initial thoughts on
I think personally something definitely needs to be used within grassroots to stop all the mimicking of Premier League footballers arguing with referees, etc. My opinion is I don't think it'll work at Premier League level.
No.
Which we can get into. I don't mind explaining that, but at grassroots level, the reason I think it will be good, it's a coaching opportunity, okay, and it means that little Bobby, other names are available,
Dave, Steve, Gary.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of Gary's been born of the last
There's not.
2 years, Steve.
There's not.
But yeah.
Shame, really. One of my favourite footballers is Gary Lineker. Anyway, carry on. We digress.
But I think that gives an opportunity to say, listen, son, you need to go off for 10 minutes. That gives the coach an opportunity to sit down with said player and coach them and say, but that means that child isn't excluded from the game. They're not sent off. It's not going to create tears. They get to come back on and learn from it.
You're just using roll on, roll off, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much. But I also think that by doing that, it gives a good sign out to parents
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
Who should be blackballed sometimes.
Cool,
More
that-
than actually
that-
carded.
Or
kind of-
sniped.
That was kind of my question based on your first point is, could it be used at grassroots level for the parents? Because in my experience, I coached under 10s, my daughter's team, under 10s girls, and a lot of the problems never came from the children.
Absolutely.
It was always the parents, squaring up to referees because their child didn't come on. Could that roll out to the parents? Or not, because they can't really, they're not going to really adhere to that, are they, I suppose? No?
I know what you're saying there, but really, I think when you're talking parents, that's sort of like the setup of the club, and that's what the coach should be doing. Think about the ref, he's looking at 22 players on a pitch. Does he now really have to start thinking about what parents are doing on the touchline? To me personally, I know that to you as well, Steve, you instill that in your club as a coach. Now, I know that doesn't always happen. Personally, Steve, before we send them out, they always say the referee will make a decision. He's not going to change it. She's not going to change it. I've never known a referee change their mind in coaching or playing football. In fact, if anything, you just become the pest in the vest that they want to sort of like.
They want to make an example of you.
I think what Steve's saying is true to the extent of you can use a blue card on the pitch, but I agree with Steve. You just use the opportunity of roll on, roll off, take the kid to the side. You don't do that. Give yourself 10 minutes out, explain as to why. They then can come back on, but we're talking kids here, Steve.
Yeah,
we're playing with under 18s here, and we're still having to do that. You've got to put those instilments into the game.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily just about football. I think that's a life skill.
Yeah,
You've got to teach children. It's about respect with that person in the middle of that pitch. I know there's been many stories, haven't there, particularly over the last couple of years, of these match officials being physically assaulted.
Well, you weren't with me last year. But we actually had the referee who was assaulted in Wigan, and we were his first game back, and you can tell this guy was a ref and a good ref, and he was understandably so a little bit cautious of the game. He wanted to speak to the parents. I guess, and I hope the guy, if he sees this, doesn't mind me saying it. It was a difficult game for him for no real reason, but it was what was the game before that carried over to him.
Yeah.
Now, me as a coach, and I spoke to him and he introduced himself as that, so I went back to my lad and says, today of all days, I do not want to see it. And if I see it, the ref doesn't even have to do anything, I'll be hoiking you off.
Yeah.
And that's what you should be doing as a coach. Going back to the parent side, if a parent plays like that, just ask them not to come.
Yeah. I mean, as a grassroots coach, I've had a couple of run-ins with a couple of parents. I've been threatened. I've been offered to take in the car park.
Very brave of them, that, Steve.
Well, let's just say they offered to take me in the car park, but I then offered to just walk there in my free will and go with them. But again, it was that. I think for me, this concept. I know they're trying to implement things in grassroots level and make it a safer, more enjoyable game, and I'm all for that. But in my opinion, nothing that they do will change it until they change it at the top, because it's repeated behaviour, it's learnt behaviour, it's they're watching their idols.
That's where I wanted to take it, because looking back on this, I mean, okay, I'm going to throw out a bit of a devil's advocate sort of scenario here. I'm a player, and the referee is going to give me a blue card for a lesser offence. A harsher offence, I could get a yellow. Give me a yellow. I don't want to come off for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So you'll get players around that as though like well, why is it a blue? Why is it a blue on your own side? Give him a yellow. It starts being absolutely crazy. You've got goal line technology. I've always been okay with that because let's face
absolutely right.
I know there's an incident where you would have always agreed with goal line technology that wasn't there. You get VAR that will stop it, and you're stopping that. I mean, before we go on to further things that we will, what stops a player from not wishing to escalate to a yellow card where you stay on the pitch as opposed to accepting it for a softer and
I think,
doing 10 minutes off?
I think one of the things that I've spoke to people about who don't necessarily are watching football all the time and have been involved in football like we have, one of the things that they get really frustrated about is corners given and there's grappling in the area. Now they suggested if that happens, penalty straight away or free kick. You don't need to take the corner. It's a foul. It's off the ball. The game's not playing, but it's a foul. It's either a free kick or a penalty, which you'd think, eradicate the constant pulling, the grappling, the arms round. But does that then move into a blue card? Does it go, if a certain centre half is all over a player, referee sees it, right, blue card, off for 10 minutes. Where is the line, like you've rightly said, where's the line going to be to say, that's a yellow?
What's harder?
Yeah.
I mean, in that respect, I could see that could then give the advantage to the attacking team.
Massively.
But what I see coming in the Premier League, and Paul Merson, who used to play for Arsenal Villa, I've seen him say, and I agree with
Arsenal and Villa or Arsenal Villa?
Arsenal and Villa.
and England. And Middlesbrough.
Yeah. And he's right. So they use the sin bin option in rugby. And I know the game's slightly different, but the penalty in that is if you're off the pitch for 10 minutes, your team's likely to concede 10, 12, 15 points.
Yeah.
In football, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that all they're going to do is go, right, well, he's off for 10 minutes, right, lads, pull rank, and everyone's just going to drop deep. So therefore, the team with the numerical advantage is then the one being punished. If it was happening at corners, it could be that big centre half who you're always going to clear that ball is then off. So I can see it working in that scenario, but are they going to be consistent enough? And that's the issue with it.
I think the frustrating thing for me is introducing something like this when they haven't got VAR right by any stretch of the imagination. So they're going to introduce another rule that the referee's going to have to try and get his head around. The players are going to have to get their head around when there's still no consistency in VAR, whether it's a tackle where the player's foot slips over the ball, catches them on the calf. Yeah. Sometimes Curtis Jones got a red card for it, other players haven't. Or, offsides. I remember a couple of years ago, Bobby Firmino's hand was offside. But it was like, but isn't it supposed to be about something they can score with?
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of...
And there's only ever been Maradona that could score with it.
Exactly.
So. We're back to here again, Maradona and Thierry. Listen, we're not punishing you.
No, I love Maradona. I love Maradona.
We just thought it was a bit dirty.
Not really the most, not really the most widely accepted opinion from an Englishman, but I love Maradona. But anyway, we digress. But I think I can't see it happening for a very long time. I hope it doesn't ever happen personally. And I just hope they get the basics of the game right first. Go back to what it was. Go back to like you've always said, Simon. The game doesn't need to make sense. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sat here having a chat about it.
Yeah.
You can't talk about it. You'd have pundits on Sky Sports and TNT having no jobs because they wouldn't be able to talk about it.
Which some would be.
Some would be very happy about
it. Everyone watching this, wouldn't it be great? The game makes sense. Everything's fair. Decisions are all okay. You come out of a ground. You may go for a tipple after with your friends. Right, let's talk about what we just saw at the football match. I agree with it. Oh, so do I.
Yeah.
So do I. Right, what shall we do? If we
win
football,
Johnny.
He'd probably fall out over that just because it's pent up. But I mean, for me, I can see why they want to, going back to what Steve's saying about respect for referees and what we're saying is respect for referees. I think there's a blurred line between what this blue card's actually doing. This blue card is saying for a lesser foul, you get a blue card and you're off for 10 minutes. And we're talking about that basically becoming a green card because it's blurred between blue and yellow for those that are into colour science. I can understand. Do you like that? A little bit of artistry there.
You're learning something. You're learning.
For me, a blue card has come out of the idea of dissent for a referee. Dissent for a ref, you're off for 10 minutes. Now that's punishment.
Yeah.
If you're gonna turn around and say, is that tackle a yellow card? Is that a blue card? We're into the VAR situation. If you're gonna do that, we are going back to 10 players behind the ball, or as you know, in the final 5 minutes of a game, let's get it into the corner or whatever. I'm not even talking about what would happen if a goalkeeper got a blue card. But if it's a blue card for dissent on a ref, that's punishment.
I agree,
That's
but then it's like there's got to be. I personally think a blue card would be in between a yellow and a red. That's how I would see a blue card. Because like you said,
So you're talking about purple now. But
yeah,
those are into
a
colours.
yellow card, a yellow card,
And those watching in black and white.
yeah, a yellow card. The player stays on the pitch. They don't want a blue card. They don't want to go off for 10 minutes. Let's say it's a Man City, Erling Haaland comes off, or De Bruyne, or one of their key talismen, comes off because they've sworn at the ref, or whatever, which is absolutely right, like you say, dissent to a referee, blue card. However, a blue card for a tackle that could be a yellow, like you say, a player's going to go, I want
Give
a
me a
yellow
yellow.
card because I want to stay on the pitch.
It's going to turn into a game of rock paper scissors. Well, I'll give
Yeah.
you that.
Yeah.
But why can't they go back to the original rule where they just send them off for dissent?
Yes.
They just send them off.
But I suppose then you go back to that red card for Diego Dallo, I think, was it Liverpool at was it Old Trafford
Yeah.
recently,
Yeah.
or Anfield, can't remember, but it was Anfield, wasn't it, where he got sent off, they got 2 yellow cards in the space of about 10 seconds.
But I love that.
Absolutely.
But that's not going to make a slight
Absolutely.
bit of difference whether you give a blue or a yellow, because let's not forget, you can get a blue and a yellow and you're off. And the other bit that I find interesting, you've been given a blue, you're off for 10 minutes, your yellow then doesn't count. So you've got 2 yellows after your blue because you've served your 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What?
So it's like having a free hit again, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you've got a player on the pitch that you really want to kind of like get rid of because he's doing your head in and you run out of subs, you're going to keep telling him to get blued.
Yeah.
Come on, get off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Calm yourself down for 10 minutes and get yourself back on.
Yeah. Get some Lucasade in and get your beats on and sit down for 10 minutes.
I just think that why do they just not simplify it? Back to the old days. I watched an old football video recently, I think it was on ITV4, and there was that bit of dissent and the ref just went, off you go.
Yeah. And going back to that, Steve, a player's through in those old days, you could take him out with both legs and he'd drop down and he'd shake hands and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And that's where it's interesting. You've got a player going through on goal and it's quite high up the pitch, so it's not quite a red, and you're going to pick up a yellow. Is that going to stop you from going in lightly, or are you going to think, I better put a bet on this, I want a yellow?
Yeah.
I don't want a blue. I'm really going to go through. I know I'm not going to get a red, I'm high up here. If I take him out and I get given a blue, that's really going to cock the game up, so I better put a bet on it to get a yellow.
How far
and stay on the pitch and defend this free kick.
How far down the line are they with this? I know they've tested it, but is there any kind of hint that it's going to absolutely 100% come in, or?
Well, it's a bit like when it used to be Division 1 and whether the EPL is going to come in and whether European Super Leagues are going to come through. You know they're going to do it because the desire is there and they're going to make it happen. If it does come in, for me, it is purely dissent on the ref.
Absolutely, and I'd be okay with that.
It depends what the dissent is, but as Steve says, dissent on a ref is a red.
I suppose it depends what's been said, isn't it? I think it's the language that's used. I think if you're swearing at a ref, I mean, we only have to go to rugby and see how incredibly they respect referees. I mean, when I was captain in my 20s, the FA brought in, I think about 2007, 2008, they brought out the respect campaign. All captains had to wear the respect armband.
You would march back 10 yards from
it was only the captain, if a player was to be spoken to, it was only the captain who could go up with the player to the referee to talk to. I only think I only wore that armband for a season. I think then it stopped, but it was perfect. Players knew that you couldn't crowd around the ref.
It's interesting that did go for a period, didn't it? But now almost as though your captain comes up, he's kind of like wading in with you. It was just, that was the whole point of a captain. Ref could speak to the captain because he's got the authority and the status within the team that, look, you just back off, I'll talk to him. And bizarrely enough, I still remember seeing Vieira and Keno doing that, the two people who were really not going to speak to a ref, right? But they knew that was the game, and dissent could see him off. I just don't know, and even before a scenario, so a lighter tackle, so a goalkeeper comes out, makes a justifiable save while he's got a striker bearing down on him, and he catches him, doesn't mean to, and it's not quite a penalty or whatever, but that's a blue. Send your keeper off for 10. Then everyone goes round the goal. Everyone goes round the ref. You know, what are you doing? Why is that a blue? Right, you're on the yellow. This is just going to turn into an absolute bloody travesty. But the person in the yellow is probably going to have to wear the gloves. But you know, it's where does it go?
I think, like Steve pointed out off camera before, it's going to end up turning football into, which is getting longer by the day anyway, because it's your 8-minute injury times, your 10-minute injury time because of VAR.
Yeah,
it's now going to be a 3-hour job just to watch a game of football because it's just another thing to worry about. You know, God Christ, I can't remember the last time I saw a Bolton game or any match where it was a minute injury time.
Here's a slight caveat, maybe for another time, but people leaving grounds 4 or 5 minutes ahead of time, and they're not losing like 15 minutes now with this. I've always thought that it is a different time, and I'm going off piste, unlike me, but you go to the cinema and you go and watch a film and you don't know how this film's going to pan out, and you think after about there's 15 minutes of it left.
I've got a good idea how it's going to end.
I know this is how it's going to end.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Darth Vader's his dad.
Yeah.
Better go.
Yeah, but I'm sure they'll change that. We all remember Dallas. However, he'll just come out of the shower and it was all a bad dream. But
what with Luke Skywalker with one hand coming out of the shower?
How the hell have we got on with this?
I don't know.
No, I mean, what else was I thinking? Okay, so this is the other bit that gets me. If a player receives a blue card, they would have to leave the field for 10 minutes and wait in the technical area. Their team would not be allowed to substitute during this time. Okay, I understand that.
Does that include injuries?
Well, if a player receives... Well, it would do the same as any card, wouldn't it? If a player receives a second blue card, they would also be shown a red card and permanently dismissed from the field. The team will play with one less player. We all know that. It's called a red card. Why are 2 blue cards replacing a yellow card? It comes back to, as a player, give me a yellow, I want to stay on. Don't give me this blue. And that isn't a justification for the blue card, because we're already said the blurred lines of it are absolutely bloody crazy. But this is the one that gets me. If a player receives a blue card and goes off for 10 minutes and then comes on and receives a yellow, that isn't a red. But how?
That's the primary colours, what makes a red almost.
But that then just...
Have I got that wrong?
No, that then just gives them like that free hit to go and, right, you've got your lives back. Now go and create carnage.
Listen, I remember Paul Pogba walking that pitch. In that season, he'd walked more of the pitch than any other player in the Premier League. Paul Pogba would be screaming for a blue, wouldn't he? I just need a little bit of time out. I've got to do a dance. I've got to get that on TikTok. Where's Jesse? I need Jesse dancing with me. We're going to have a little bit of a...
Yeah, you can see players having a chat going, let's go and slag the referee off. And
give me that 10 minutes. I'm going to get a bit of... nothing wrong with social media, by the way, but I'm going to get it on social media and I'll get a few more likes while I'm on the bench. Absolutely fantastic. I'll sulk with my beats on.
Yeah, I'm being sponsored. I need to get off.
Yeah, I need to get off. I need to get these Nikes up on the.
Like I say, I think in grassroots level, it's gonna help it, but I still believe that nothing will change at grassroots level, behaviour, anything like that, until it's changed at the top. And for me, the way to change that is any dissent, you're off.
That takes time to come through, though.
Yeah,
I agree with you. You set off with kids at about 6 or 7 year old. That's going to take time to come through, and there's no promotion in this, by the way. However, Michael and I are nipping out somewhere on the weekend where we are going to talk about how elite football has influenced the grassroots game. So yeah, watch out for that one. That'll be interesting. We're on the road again, aren't we, Kev?
We are, but I love it how you keep interchange between Mike and Michael. I don't know what day it is, because it's normally Sunday we go out, which I suppose I would be Michael on Sunday. But yeah, we are. There's a lot to be...
the fallen saint?
Apparently so.
Yes, you are.
So does that make me Greavesy?
Wow. I think I might be Greavesy. sorry, Eddie. Yeah,
God rest his soul.
Yeah, absolute legend of the game.
So anyway, we've kind of covered most of it. I think the thing is, the key points are we don't really know anything about it. I think we've all got our opinions on it. We've seen the statistics, we've seen the comments as to why it might come into play, but there's certainly got to be a hell of a lot more clarity around it. It's about as clear as mud at the moment as to, like we said, I think if we were to, perfect point, like Steve made, if it's for dissent for referee, perfect. However, shouldn't that be a red card? And I think we then go back to, which a lot of football fans talk about, because a lot of football fans are rugby fans as well, is why is there so much respect in rugby? Why is it that you can see a 6'10" rugby player built like a frigging outhouse go up to a referee who's 5'7", 10 stone wet through, and almost apologise to him, call him sir? Where has the crossover happened? Why is it that has happened? And when is that something you'd think about looking at the dissent for referees again to then filter into the different levels before you start introducing this kind of thing?
I think as you're saying that, and you're right, and rugby, it does work well in, but there's a couple of things first that I've sort of like thought about on that. First of all, those who don't know what an outhouse is, that tends to be a toilet outside. 2024, maybe not a lot of people know that. Or an outhouse. Well, it's a building detached.
It was just a polite way of saying.
It's just in case you lost them.
I thought it was just somewhere our southerners went when we didn't sit indoors.
Yeah.
We went out.
But what I was going to say about the rugby thing, yeah, it does work in rugby.
We're not going to get sued by Mickey Flanagan for that.
But let's have a look at the game. Rugby passes backwards, moves up strategically in a line. It will affect how you play.
Sounds like City. That's how City plays, isn't it?
Oh my God, I shouldn't even subscribe to that. But yeah, however,
very, very effectively. By the way.
But from football, you're moving it forward, you're moving in diagonals, etc. Blah blah blah. You're gonna have more contact in that respect, and all the rugby lads will turn around and say you don't have contact in football, but there is more sort of like that individual press, etc. Yeah, it's one principle for a very different game. There's a reason why we were up at Turton, Mike, as football turned into football with Turton FC.
Absolutely. You were told not to use your hands at that point. Back in 1855.
Go on, good research.
1855 is when Turton formed, but 1830 was when they started. And yeah,
I had to remind him of that by saying, just think 6:30.
Let's not give away our if I could edit that out, I would. Let's not give away our trade secrets.
It's natural. These are the things.
It's all in there. Yeah. But yeah, obviously the game has changed massively, and what we don't want to do is change it to where it's just so clinical and so.
You want it free flowing.
You want it to be I mean, obviously it's a far from the working man's game anymore, which is what it used to be.
Steve's doing his research there, by the way.
But he's
not on text.
We want to be able to get it back to that, and you know, I mean, certainly, I know we were going to at some point talk about how we got into the game and why we loved the game, but that's part of the reason I loved it. That's part of the reason I loved it. Is when I was 5, being taken down to Burnham Park, and it was you know, I know you can't really say this anymore, but it was a man's game. It was a football game. It was fouls.
You see, at this point, this is where I'd like to say, all right, Steve is very obviously he's our guest tonight. He can say he's a Tottenham Hotspur fan. Mike and I had this agreement that we'd never actually make it about our football clubs.
It's not about our football clubs.
Yeah, he was going to Burnham Park to watch an away game. Yeah, obviously.
We're not talking about our football clubs. We won't talk about our football clubs in terms of. We won't make it a political situation where we want to air our views on our football clubs. But there's no problem in knowing that who we support. Yeah, I'm a Bolton Wanderers fan. Lived in Bolton all my life. But obviously, when I first started, we were in Division 3. It was a very difficult, which we are now. Oh, we're not. Yeah, we are still in Division 3. Can't where we're going. But the point I'm making is, it was a very. It wasn't clinical. It didn't make sense that we talked about.
Did we not start off with an agenda tonight, Mike? I thought.
Yeah, but you know,
free flowing.
You've got your own agenda, obviously.
Clearly. I think in summary, I'm all against the blue card personally. Fix the things that are wrong with the game, and then Which seems to have got out of hand, like we said.
What would you say, Steve? How would you sum it up? What's your thoughts on it?
I just can't see it working. I can't see it working in the Premier League. I think there's too many egos in there. I think there's too many. I just don't see it working. They don't agree with what the referee does now, whether they give a yellow card or a red card. So they're just going to make a rod for their own back by bringing another. They might as well just take a whole deck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which one do you want?
Pick exactly. Don't tell me
well,
what
it
one
is
it
really,
is.
isn't it? Yeah. You know what? When you go to the sort of like corporate match and you get the fella who comes round with the cards who can write his name on it, and then makes it appear in your undies, that sort of stuff.
What sort of games are you going to?
Very good games.
Clearly.
Special games where only I'm invited.
It's not you stood in front of the mirror again, is it?
No, we'll leave that there. Yeah, but my take on it is, as Steve says, it starts at grassroots. It's respect, and it's respect from what coaches do, it's respect from what parents do. Thankfully, my experience is I've got ace parents and I've got lads that respect it. I know that not every club has that, and I know that a lot of coaches try to do that. But as I say, we'll go on to the other thing of how players seem to want to emulate what they see at the elite level, which is always a tough call at grassroots to tell them it's about football. But what I actually did is I had a look at this today, and there's a good site out there called ref6.com, and I'm assuming that's a referee's point of view, and obviously they can't really put a bias on that because they're referees and that's their job, but it did make some really good points. Have a look at that and have a think of it just says blue cards in football, what you need to know, and it has got a really good sort of like biased opinion, both side, either side. But yeah, so I think we'll wind this segment up.
Take a break.
Segments normally come in an orange more than that, but we've got 3, and we're going to come back to the.
We're doing halves and quarters.
We're going to come back to the third slice of the pie. My God, how many other have I got?
So we're doing So we've got quarters, halves.
We're going to run this up the
pies.
flagpole. See who salutes
Listen,
what.
if you two don't
We're
sort
just
this
gonna
out,
park it
I'm
up.
going to give you a turquoise card.
Oh, hey, that's.
And that's come from Joseph in his many technicoloured coat. Does that make sense? Right, okay.
This doesn't make sense. We'll see in a bit.
It's football, it's not meant to. So, that brings together our little foray into podcasting. I'm sure it'll get sleeker. I'm sure that we will get a little bit better on timing, maybe, Mike. I don't know.
I think so.
So yeah, there's a couple of things that we wish to discuss tonight. We'll keep our powder dry, if you like, and we'll bring those into the next next podcast that we do. Senspot TV UK, whatever we call it. Oh, this is nice, Mike.
Isn't it? It's nice colour.
It reminds me of our Monday, where we well, I'll let you talk about that later. But yeah, where we're going this week. Well, we can't say too much, but we're kind of like swinging shift from one extreme to the other, because that's what we can do. I remember when we first started out doing this, Mike, and we actually thought, yeah, but we've got to sort of like be a bit more precise as to where we're going, etc. And then as we did that, we discovered we haven't got enough in our lifetime to cover this. No,
we haven't, and I think that's what we found. I think going from Turton to Glossop, and then what you'll find on Sundays, like Simon says, from one extreme to the other. I think the game is worldwide, as you said in the second episode. We could cover it for every single hour of every day of every week and still not get to the full end of it.
And do you know what, Mike? Ever since playing football, first part of playing football, I remember when I used to go out on a Saturday or school holidays, and you'd pick your boots up or your Tesco two stripes or whatever. Well, Woolworths two stripes as they were at the time, and you'd leave the house at 9 o'clock and come back at 5 o'clock after running around a pitch or whatever you classed as a pitch, might be concrete or whatever. You stopped playing and you came home on your hands and knees because you worked out that your feet were knackered. This game is like those days. I don't know how long it's going to run. It's far beyond 90 minutes, and I'm glad to say in doing this, we've always loved football, but I don't think I've ever been as much in tuned or thinking about football, as much in tune as we are now, and we're just loving it.
I think we've spoke about it plenty of times. I think a lot of people will find the same. I think, as with Steve said, it's brought people together to have a platform to play football, to talk about football, with talking football. But we've both played at a pretty high standard. You're still coaching.
I think you played higher than me, but longer than me. But
but there was a period, you mentioned earlier on that you thought that your last game was in 2003 of 11-a-side. And
I remember thinking that my first game was going to be Platt Lane, but however that'll come in at a different time because I won't bring my mum into it. But
but I've
got me at the knees.
I've I think it's funny, isn't it? I think now all I think about is football since we started this magnificent journey that we're on. I've bought into the project.
Stop it.
And I hope that at some point, whether we're reaching dozens at the moment or hundreds or thousands of people, I think the key thing here is that we're just two hard-working fellas who love football.
We'll keep doing it. We'll keep doing it. We're very fortunate if you join us. I'm going to bring it in again. We're playing to an audience of one, which was a fantastic solo album by the much lamented and lately departed David Soul. I bet you all think I'm a Mad Starsky and Hutch fan. But listen, you join us. We'll be here. Great to see you. And we'll have some more talking points for you. I've already got them on the phone. When you see BBC Sports presenting like that, I'm kind of like, that's what I'd like to. But I don't want to be doing that. However, I digress, which you will find I very frequently do.
Yeah, it's like going to watch Billy Connolly in concert. But anyway, never mind. We just as funny, I think. Yeah, he digresses quite a lot.
Nice. Which leads us on to we are going to actually have a little bit of a talk about Scottish football as well on the next one. Very interesting at the moment. I won't go further into it, but Rangers and Celtic head to head, two very different stories, two very different tractions, and we are also interested in what I did want to talk about. We'll pick up again on it another time. The underfunding of media on Scottish football and how that's impacting on the game. I'd like to say over the border, but it's not really over the border to me, is it? Simon Stewart, and we're not aligned. So I digressed again, didn't I?
You did. You did it again. You did it again. So on Sunday we will be going back out again, and it is, as Sam said, one extreme to the other, but much needed. I think we focused on some grassroots stuff first couple of episodes.
Let's swing the pendulum.
And it doesn't mean we're done with grassroots. No. By no means. It just means that we're going to chop and change, as is our want.
This game is as round as a football. Come on.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Anyway, so what we're planning on doing is, we'll keep churning these out. Obviously, we've had the kit launch this week with Talking Football, which
great thing.
Very proud moment for us.
Very proud.
We got a lot, like I said before, got a lot of traction on it. We got a lot of interest, not just from a grassroots level kind of team, but also from the mental health perspective, which is huge, from Premier League down to under 6s or under 5s. It's so important that that football is including that in their ethos.
Am I right in saying football's life, man?
Football is life. Danny Rojas. But we're obviously not just a podcast. We started out as an idea that Simon came up with for a clothing company, which we still are. Let's not deter away from that. The website's up and running.
I'm enjoying this though.
But we're loving this. We are loving this. Whether, like Simon keeps saying, we are not playing to an audience of 1 or playing to an audience of 1,000, it doesn't matter. We'll keep doing them, whether you like it or not.
And we're not pushing out a watchtower of football. Thank you very much, and we will catch up with you with our next serving. Another helping night.
Yes. But we're not going down that route tonight. Another helping of. Yes. Yeah, private joke. Maybe one day.
Creme brulee for those who understand it.
Anyway, right. So, thanks for watching.
Cheers. Thank you. See you soon.
Toodle pip.